You're listening to Superpowers of the Soul on the Superpower Up Podcast, the show that elevates superpowers to the divine.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Jennifer Urezzio, a superpower expert and founder of Soul Language, and this is Superpowers of the Soul. And today I'm with Adrienne. I just made it all French. And we're talking about the quantum consciousness and change. Welcome, Jean.
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
I'm so excited that you're here. I always like to start with the question about, what do you consider your superpower of your soul? And I really want to direct this question towards you, meaning we all have superpowers that we use for other people. And your superpower of your soul that you use for yourself could be used for other people as well. But what do you consider the superpower of your soul?
I would say that my prime superpower of my soul is my ability to hear the voice of spirit.
I love that. And, how has that supported other people? Because we all know it has.
Yeah. So I guess I have always been able to hear the voice of spirit, but I probably didn't know it or what it was or what I was doing. And it was in 2002 that I actually began to hear voices. And the voice that I heard blatantly told me that I was done with everything I had been doing up to that point in my life. And I started arguing with that voice, saying, whoa, don't be taking my livelihood away from me unless you've got something better. Mm-hmm. Silence. But that was the tip of the iceberg. It was the beginning of a journey. And the journey commenced with that voice, and that voice continued on at inopportune times, talking to me, but basically the bottom line was that I received a healing modality called InnerSpeak because I was willing to listen to the voice. And I didn't necessarily go along willingly. Like I said, I argued, but in order to completely get my attention, Spirit actually shut down the company that I was working for. So that voice was serious when it said everything in my life was about to change. The company that I was working for went bankrupt and laid off me and 249 other people, maybe so that I could receive this healing modality, because I sat in front of my computer and listened and typed what I was hearing for 3 months, not really knowing what I was doing. I didn't know anything about channeling. I didn't know you were supposed to ask who's talking to me. I just know that it felt like love. And I listened and I wrote, and that was really the beginning of a new pathway for me. And it's a path that I've been on since 2002 using... Okay. I'm
going to interrupt you because I want to ask you my next question.
Okay.
So we often talk about sacred purpose on these interviews, about sacred purpose, what we're profoundly here to experience, and then offer that experience to others. With that definition in mind, what would you consider your sacred purpose?
My sacred purpose is to be a messenger.
Love that.
Yeah.
And then, what has been this common theme of that I'm going to ask this question in 2 parts. Mm-hmm. What is the common theme that your soul has shared with you across your journey? That's the first part. And then what's the common theme that your humanness has shared with you over your journey?
Well, it's probably the same sort of theme, but the common theme for me that my soul has shared is that it isn't possible for us to raise our consciousness if we are carrying any form of judgment, resentment, or lack of forgiveness for ourselves or for anyone else. So that message is the message that I share, and I help people to find those places, those little niches where they've hidden their little safe space, sacred resentment and judgment, so that they can identify it and let it go.
That's really interesting. I think a lot of people go, well, I've dealt with that, I've let it go. And they're not really understanding the full impact that holding on to that judgment is having on their creative process and interaction with everything on this planet. So how has forgiveness and non-judgment shaped your life?
Well, and again, this is hindsight being 2020. I didn't realize until I started peeling away this layer or these layers of judgment and unforgiveness, A, how judgmental I am, and B, how that has impacted me. I had a kid tell me, many, many, many years ago that I was the most negative person he had ever seen. And he was a child. We're talking maybe 8 or 9 years old. And I'm like, what? How dare he? But he got my attention, and I started looking for how that could be possible. And what I found was that I was projecting out onto other people lack of forgiveness and judgment that I had towards myself. And, we get really good at that. One finger points out, and man, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you every time. And so as I began to work on clearing that away and using this tool that I received to do that, what I began to see was as I would clear away a layer, positive changes would take place in my life. And, my money would get better, or people would be nicer to me, or opportunities would crop up out of nowhere. And it took me, 5 to 10 years to actually get the synchronicity of that. Because in the beginning, I just thought, well, that's a coinky-dink. But I finally began to realize, whoa, something's going on here, to the point that now when I find a block, that I will actually open an InnerSpeak session on myself and get to the source of what that block is. And every time it will make a shift. And so these are the kinds of things that I help people with in my coaching practice, because people will come to me and they will say, well, I'm having issues around money. I don't seem to be able to make any money, or I get it and I can't hold on to it, or my career isn't making my heart sing and I can't seem to figure anything out, or my marriage is horrible and I don't know what to do about it, or whatever. And I haven't done an InnerSpeak session yet that at some point forgive all concern didn't come up.
Beautiful. So before we break for our break here, tell people how to get in touch with you. What's the best way to reach out and learn more about you and what you do?
Absolutely. So it would be my website, which is my name, JeanAdrienne.com. That's JeanAdrienne.com. And if they sign up for my newsletter on the website, I will give them the free gift of access to my online InnerSpeak card so they can clear these lack of forgiveness and judgment and resentments for themselves.
Beautiful. I love those cards. I play with them all the time online. Okay, everyone, stay tuned. We will be back in just a moment.
Hello, everyone. This is Tonya Dawn Rekla, Executive Director of SuperPower Experts, and we want to thank each of you for making SuperPower Up the #1 podcast network for personal development and spiritual growth. Because people like you have the courage to say that mindfulness, healthy living, disrupting reality, the pursuit of consciousness, responsible entrepreneurship, and radical parenting matter, we now amass over 1 million downloads monthly in more than 90 countries. Our numbers keep growing because there are far more people willing to live divergently than mass media wants to acknowledge. For you, the change makers, the light bearers, the way showers, we say thank you. If you're ready to take the next step in your evolution, go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the Superpower quiz. And as Neva Lee Rekla, our youngest podcaster, likes to remind us, remember, we all have superpowers and we can change the world.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Superpowers of the Soul, and I'm Jennifer Urezzio, and we're talking with Jean Adrienne today about quantum consciousness and change. So, Jean, what do we mean by quantum consciousness?
Well, a quantum leap is one of those things where it's not linear. You don't go from point A to point B. When you make a quantum leap, you're actually going farther than 1 + 1 = 2. And we're in a time that supports us to, for raising our consciousness and growing geometrically and not in a linear fashion if we want to do it. And, and if we do that, really the first step that we have to take is to get rid of all that baggage that we've been talking about for the last few minutes.
So what do you mean by we're in a perfect time that supports quantum change?
Okay, so there has been so much energy that has poured onto planet Earth to support Gaia in her ascension of late, in the last 2 years, really, in particular. But, it's been happening since that harmonic convergence that happened way back in the, I guess it was in 1979. So we started waking up then. And many, many times, I think, over the eons, we've tried to wake up, but the energy hasn't been high enough. The vibration of the planet hasn't been high enough to support that awakening. Well, it is now, and it's growing every day. So now we can make these choices and actually implement them to the point that I believe that we can make an ascension while we're still in these bodies. We don't have to die to get to that, that kingdom that we've been told about, the peace that has all understanding, the joy, the release from sickness. We don't have to die to do that. We can actually achieve that in our body because it's been an inside job all along.
So if people want to get started, we talked a little bit about forgiveness and letting go of judgment. People wanting to get started right here, right now to make this quantum change, what would you suggest an easy thing to do, easy in quotes, right here, right now would be?
Okay. So the first step I think that we all have to take on this journey is to stand in our own power and to realize that we're creating everything that happens to us and to take responsibility for the fact that we did it. I think that quantum change does not include blame at any level. So that's got to go out with the trash along with the judgment and the resentment. So, claim your power that you made it happen, whatever it is in your life. Let go of blaming anybody else and forgive yourself. That's the first step.
Yeah, I love that quantum change doesn't include blame. I think that's really important. I think so often we're taught, to look at external for our experience rather than the internal without judgment, fine-tuning your choices and coming from a place of, if I knew I was whole and complete, what would I say? What would I do? What would I be? Mm-hmm. I think that allows people to make a more, choice that's in their greatest good. So my next question is how do people know that they're experiencing this quantum consciousness?
So how you know you're doing this is because your life starts flowing better, and when you begin to take responsibility for your creations and your actions, you begin to realize that it's all happening vertically. It's not happening horizontally anymore. Nothing is happening to you from the exterior, and nothing on the outside of you is going to change what's inside. So let's just take happiness for an example, because that happens to be on my mind right now. And I think that many of us, we just want to be happy. So quantum change would be finding yourself being happy without doing anything to get there. Happiness is not something that can be found outside yourself. A new job's not going to make you happy. More money's not going to make you happy. A new lover's not going to make you happy. You have to be happiness before you can start seeing it in the outside world. And so once we begin to get that, then we can realize that we're moving into this period of quantum change. And when you get that, things will occur for you. It's like you're standing in a fire hose of flow that's coming from the universe and bringing you the things you desire.
Yeah, so what I hear you saying is if you want quantum change on the external, the first step, like you said, is quantum change on the internal.
Yes, ma'am.
So before I ask you my last question, what is there one thing that you want everyone to remember from our conversation today?
That once you begin to take responsibility for your life, then everything shifts and you do have the power to create anything you want in your life. So if you can monitor your thoughts and realize that every single thought you're thinking is actually creating a thing, and things attract things to them through the law of attraction. I think we've had the law of attraction pounded into our heads for the last 5 years anyway. And so, yeah, you're going to begin to see a whole brand new reality that is based on those thoughts of the things you want and not the things you don't want.
Beautiful. So if you were a magnet on your higher power, whatever you call that, refrigerator, what would your magnet say?
Just be.
Love that.
Yeah.
Before we sign off, let people know how to get in touch with you.
So my website is jeanadrienne.com, and I look forward to hearing from you. There's a contact Jean. There's all kinds of information there about what you can do with me. And I give away a 15-minute consultation at no charge. You can do that once with me, and I would love to work with you.
Beautiful. Well, everyone, if you like what you heard, you can connect with me and all the other experts in the Superpower Net at superpowerexperts.com/the-net. Thanks a lot. And don't forget, not just to find your connection, but to be your connection.
Are you ready to discover your superpowers? Go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the Superpower Quiz today.